Candid camera.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Simply Tech Live here in our homes. This is going to be a really awesome episode. It's a little bit of rain outside here in Southern California. Looking forward to this thing. Ali, what's going on with you?
I don't know. My background, according to Todd, looks like it's sunny, but it's raining as hell. So grateful to have the rain and glad to be here for another session, and especially because we have Todd here. He's a peer of mine at the MTC, and we're going to have a great session.
This is awesome. So let's get started with some quick intros. Again, this is a live broadcast. We're deploying this out to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. So go ahead and feel free to drop any comments, and we'll get to the comments and questions as soon as possible. But my name is Derek Russell. I'm a data and AI specialist here in the West Microsoft region, supporting multiple customers from high tech to manufacturing. And one positive thing I want to start the call off with that's going on this week for me in the wake of this crisis, I think we should do that as we introduce ourselves, is I was complaining to Todd a little earlier about how I have 2 kids at home and how tough it is to raise 2 kids right now. And I realized you've got 7. You've got 7
Yes.
kids, so do not complain. I feel like a champ now. I can handle anything because I only have 2. So with that, I'll let you kick it off, Ali.
Sure. Ali Mazaheri, I'm the MTC director in Irvine and also the co-host of this broadcast with Derek. And for me, the best part was really helping customers. I mean, this past week, we had numerous number of customers, organizations that they reached out and they asked for help. And I'm glad to see our team across the U.S. collaborating with our other sectors, like our customer success unit and also our sales team, to go and enable everybody that requests for help. And again, what we're going to talk about today, the subject and the project that Todd and the team they worked on, was a result of that collaboration for teams to kind of bring in everything that they have together and come up with a solution that is going to impact a lot of people. With that, Todd, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. And I have to say, I've never felt so multi-platform, being live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So that's pretty great. So Todd Kitta, I am out of St. Louis. I'm out of the Microsoft Technology Center, so the same group that Ali is in. But more important than that, part of our broader team that's supporting our customers. And to Ali's point and Derek's call out, it's been inspiring and exciting to see everyone just jumping in. The last few weeks have just been people learning on the fly, learning how to collaborate differently. My role generally has me at the office every day. So this has been an adjustment for me and my team. But it's been great to be able to jump in and contribute and see how other people are working this challenging environment that we're in today.
Perfect.
And Todd, so we hear from Ali a lot about his direction and his director level role at the Microsoft Technology Center in Irvine. But before we get started, what is the Microsoft Technology Center to you? Being over there in St. Louis. Yeah.
So the Microsoft Technology Center is a place. Usually it's a place. Right now, we define it by the 3 Ps: the people, the process, and the place. But it's a process and approach that we use to work with customers to help them achieve their business goals. So it's always business objective first. Whether we're doing architectural design, business strategy design, or rolling up our sleeves. And just this week, I'm doing a hackathon with a customer remotely. So we're writing code, we're crunching data, we're solving business problems in real time using the technology. So we straddle the line between business and tech, which is just where I love to be, right? So we're all about achieving the objectives. We're not focused on product. We're not focused on selling anything in particular. We're focused on taking a customer wherever they are, helping them achieve their objectives with technology.
So, Todd, just kind of to start this conversation, I mean, we've been working on this whole notion of intelligent chatbots,
Right.
working with bot framework and, the whole cloud PaaS offerings that we have, like, web, Logic App, serverless, etc. And with this notion of dealing with COVID-19, demand to help patients and clinician and everybody else. Of course, there was this whole huge demand on using the health bot, and of course the HLS team have done a great job to roll this out with the help of other teams, including us. But then the next phase was that, okay, we rolled out this bot. Now how can we use the insight that can be grabbed from the back end to use that even further to help with the demand? Perhaps you can start with a little bit overview of what this health bot is and how you and the team, they came to the architecture design and the solution at the end that is now available for everybody to go and use.
Right. So no, great question, Ali. And would you guys mind if I just did a quick overview and reminder?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So can you guys see my screen? I just want to make sure that I'm sharing correctly. Awesome. So what I have up here is, I think Providence, you guys showed this last time. So if anyone tuned in last time, I'm not going to cover this super long. I just want to do a quick recap on what we're even talking about. So we've been focused on intelligent bot, and augmented with AI for quite a long time with our bot framework. And we actually have a software as a service, SaaS-based health bot that's out there. It's called the Microsoft Health Bot Service. And when all of this started hitting, we worked with the CDC to, and you can actually go out and find this on the CDC's website as well, to take their official guidance around an assessment, like a survey that you could give to somebody to assess their risk for COVID. So Providence was one of the first organizations to roll that out. And as you can see, I'm here on their main page, and I'm just asking the bot's asking me rather a few things around, where I live. I want to assess my risk, and why this is important is because it's offloading work that is taking time away from healthcare professionals, so that people can go through this assessment and do a warm handoff to a human when they're ready. So it's going to be asking me things like, have you already been tested? No, I haven't. I'm obviously going to answer this to not as my current situation, but just to kind of walk through this. So I'm saying, yes, I have been in contact, but I've not been told by a public official that I might have it. It's asking me about my symptoms, those kinds of things. And this is important for our next topic. But after I've gone through this, it's kind of saying like, hey, you probably need to talk to somebody, and click here to actually just hop on a video call with a provider. And, even talking about, what might be covered by insurance and those kinds of things. So this is the kind of thing that we've rolled out. And we actually just published an update yesterday where we talked about the number of people that have rolled this out. We have over 1,200 bots that have been deployed over the last 3-4 weeks, covering 18 million users and 160 million messages. So you can immediately see the type of engagement, but more important than engagement, but the offloading from the healthcare professionals that we've been able to do through this bot and partnership. And we've been able to roll these bots out with individual organizations in a matter of a couple days. And that's with customizations, and that's even with not working with super technical folks. This is not a development effort. This is a configuration and implementation effort. So I'll just take a pause to see if you guys have any insight on that.
My mind was blown away yesterday, and we talked to the product team, and on a daily basis, and the amount of data that is pouring in because of the usage is just mind staggering. But I see a lot of data. So now the question is, what are you going to do with this?
Let's take that to the next step then. So that's where this comes in. So what I have up here is a blog post up on the Microsoft Healthcare and Life Sciences blog, and this is where you reached out to me. I think it was a week ago yesterday, and said, "Hey, we're starting to get quite a few organizations that have deployed the bot, and of course now they're asking the next set of logical questions. Well, how many people are completing the assessment? How many people have been completed the assessment that have been identified as being high risk, that had symptoms? Or how many people didn't complete the survey, and where did they stop?" Right? So you could look for potential bottlenecks in the bot, those kinds of things. And because a lot of people had deployed this out so quickly, there wasn't an immediate way for those folks to get insight into what people are doing. So that's when you reached out to me about a week ago, and we got to work with a couple people getting out a resource. And to jump down to what we ultimately delivered, and then we'll talk about how we did it, was a Power BI template that reads from Application Insights, which is a application performance management service that we'll talk about here in a second. That's basically taking all the instrumented logs from the bot execution and then turning it into something that's useful that answers those questions above. So what you're looking at right now is an example of what that could look like. So how did we do that? Let me hop back up to the architecture here, folks. And where is it?
And hey, Todd, just a quick question. So this is a live broadcast. And we had a question come in from a Michael Nelson, and he asked, could you add natural language to this Q&A bot?
Yes, and actually, yes, you can. And to some extent, it's already doing that. But what you saw doing, and I think the question probably stems from the fact that I was clicking through and answering prompts. That was really just to kind of make it really easy to do, so that we could help users get through it quickly. But absolutely, some of the technology on the back end using our cognitive services in Azure will facilitate that. So like our Lewis service, which helps you understand, you can use machine teaching to say, here's what someone might say, and here's what this means when they say that. So absolutely, you can augment that with AI, and it's actually already kind of doing that.
Yeah, and the beauty of this is, even though the HealthBot is a SaaS offering, but it uses all this PaaS offering, as Todd was talking about Q&A, and also all the bot framework pieces. That if you want, that's where you're going to take this to the next level, and you're going to do some customization. And whether you can reach out to Microsoft, MTC to have like a design session to kind of get through this, but we also have a very good documentation that kind of explains this.
Right. So as you mentioned, this is a live broadcast. So I was looking for my architecture. Can't seem to find it at the moment. But what we have is pretty straightforward. The bot actually already understands how to write its telemetry to something called Application Insights, which is a platform as a service offering in Azure. So really all you need to do is create an Application Insights instance inside of Azure, and then point your bot to that. At that point, you've done the majority of the work, meaning you're now at least capturing all the telemetry. And you want to do that as early as possible. So the earlier that you can wire these things up, even if you're not ready to start asking questions and looking at these insights, you're at least capturing the data. I'm a big advocate for, I've heard this phrase from city planners before: the best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago. The next best time is today, right? So the best time to start capturing your bot telemetry was last week, but the next best time is right now. So at least begin capturing the information and the telemetry as soon as you can, so that when you are ready to start looking at these insights and these reports, you have the data at least from the last week or so.
By the way, Todd, I just shared the diagram on my screen, so hopefully
wonderful.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so you're sharing your screen, Ali?
Yes, I mean we have both.
Great. Okay, so so what you can see, what we have there is just it's pretty straightforward. Where we have the bot actually recording the telemetry into App Insights, and then Power BI, which is actually a free tool. So Power BI Desktop is 100% free, and it's really easy. It has native connectivity into Application Insights. So, and there was a template created as part of this that auto connects up to your Application Insights instance. And what's cool about this is we've had it's been interesting to see, because I've had insight into at least like 5 or 6 different deployments of this, just in the work that I've done with our CSU team, our customer success team, and other MTCs. Everyone's doing it kind of a little bit differently, because you can actually customize your bot deployment to record things like which facility's website did they go to? Because we have one organization that has like 20 different facilities, and so 20 different websites, and they're embedding the same bot into each website, and they're kind of embedding, this was the website I came from. So they're actually recording a piece of custom data inside of the bot, which gets written to App Insights and reported on through Power BI. And again, that was just no code. That was just a customization of the bot service itself. And then there's just a slight tweak to the template. So for some folks, the template is the final answer. And for some folks, it's an accelerator that gets them 90% of the where they need to be through that Power BI template. And it's just a quick modification. And you can start to bring in those custom fields that you're logging to that. And some folks were actually trying to tie this into like MyChart and some of the other SaaS services that patients are interacting with as well to provide better care to their patients.
And so, Todd, quick question. In terms of using the Azure storage, I mean, what was the use case? And I know you put it as optional, but how others can leverage that entity as well?
Perfect. No, great question. One of the steps we have in here as well is the easy path for this was to use Application Insights to Power BI. But we wanted to make the data available to other tools as well. So if you had some data engineered pipelines that you wanted to marry up with your other systems, whether your EMR or whatever systems that you have that you want to start to marry this stuff up and bring into more of a dashboard, bringing the data together. There's a really just a checkbox type approach to start to dump out the data from Application Insights into Azure Storage. Azure Storage, super cheap, pennies per gig per month kind of thing. So, I mean, really from a storage perspective, you're not going to be paying much of anything. But you've now unlocked that data for use by really any process in your organization. And we wanted to make it available too. If you had another reporting tool that you wanted to use aside from Power BI, you could now access that data through that tool as well. So we wanted to unlock it. We didn't want to force you down the Power BI path, but we also wanted to make the Power BI template available as an accelerator, given that Power BI Desktop is so accessible and easy to use.
And this is where the beauty of Azure comes to display, like, how easily you can put all these bits and pieces of a puzzle. And again, to me, application itself is just the crown jewel. Like, every time I talk to any customer, whether, they're using cloud or they plan to use cloud, the very first thing that you have to enable Application Insight. And most of the time as a dev, said, why do I care? This is where you need to care.
Oh man, absolutely. And what's kind of cool, I mean, I don't want to get too in the weeds with the tech, but what's really amazing about it is you could have, years worth of data in there and gigs worth of logs, but you can actually query over those logs in real time and get interactive speeds back. So you can submit a pretty complex query that's aggregating and looking for information about how your people are actually using your application and get those results back in like a couple seconds. Because just again, the tech is really cool. I won't geek out on that, but it's pretty amazing to be able to query across gigs of logs in a second and get really meaningful results back.
We got a follow-up question. How about callback request feature? You enter your phone number, PSTN, call made with national language survey.
Love it. So absolutely, those are actually things that people are doing. They're customizing the flow to do that. And you can see, going back to the Providence use case, I can actually launch into, I know this wasn't a direct answer to the question, but this was a customization they did where they're linking in with their remote care service and launching there. So there's no reason that you couldn't integrate with whatever other system or whatever other approach that you want to do. And what a lot of people have done is done a warm handoff, right? So this would definitely be a warm handoff through a video call, but you can also do a warm handoff through a chat. So the bot service can do a warm handoff from a chat perspective, do a callback, enter your phone number in. Any of those things are totally possible, and we've had a lot of people do those customizations in a matter of like a day and get those live on their website, which has been, of course, speed in this case has been of the utmost importance.
One other thing is, we keep adding these scenarios to our docs. So that would be one other place that you can go and look for updates, and it happens very frequently on how to do this kind of integrations.
No, absolutely. And again, I'd echo back that I would definitely go back and either subscribe or bookmark the Healthcare and Life Sciences blog, because they've been publishing a video series on this and, how to, publish live broadcasts. There's a lot of great resources available on the blog around these things that are getting updated in real time. And I know that the original, if I scroll down here just a little bit, the original quick start to deploy this bot, which has over almost 15,000 views at this point, is getting updated, on a daily, weekly basis based on learnings from customers.
Big shout out to HLS team. I mean, they're doing a fantastic job.
They're amazing. Yeah.
And you know what I like about this, and being on the data and AI team, I'm constantly having discussions with different large organizations, and typically not on the healthcare life sciences side, because that's not the patch that I cover in terms of industry.
Right.
On my side, it's high tech manufacturing, it's high tech. So you got independent software vendors, technology, power and utilities. And there's especially right now, I'm just trying to figure out bridging the gap from some of the things that you're doing in healthcare and why it's so important to source information from the CDC. I mean, take for example, like a Macy's who uses our chatbot services today, or a large organization that may ship equipment or materials or provide services globally. Why should they be looking at something like a bot framework layer in between their customers and their products and their people right now?
Well, I mean, especially from in this case, right, where there's nothing better for a healthcare provider to be doing than working with a patient, right, that needs their care, right? So the more that you're able to quickly get people the right information, and that's, of course, been another really important aspect of this, is you mentioned partnering with the CDC on this. So making sure that we're actually providing good, solid information to people that are, frankly, scared, right? Frankly, need that information to make the proper decisions about their care and about their current health status. But being able to do that in a way that prioritizes and lets the healthcare professionals do what they're best at, which is care for patients, while getting people the best information as quickly as possible in channels that they're used to. So whether I'm on a mobile device or wherever, I can get this stuff and access to it.
And it's interesting because we have a lot of non-healthcare related organizations that they've reached out to implement the very same thing internally, because for their internal workforce they have the same questions and they want to provide them the latest and greatest. So again, that goes beyond just the COVID-19. So you can apply it to many other scenarios and templates.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one follow-up question from Mike Rochelle. He asks, are these bots easily added to our existing BI on Azure and Power BI customer solutions? So I think you mentioned earlier, you just point the application into application insights, and there's some additional telemetry you pull away from that, and then you hook that into Power BI. How easy is that process?
Yeah. Well, and I would say that's the one, not the one thing. That was one of the big things that our team that developed the HealthBot service did right, is there's a nice simple text box on your bot service in the portal that says, what is your application insights? Point me to your application insights service that you created. And that's all you need to do. And that's if people are already being deployed into Azure and those kinds of things, application insights is a cross-cutting, very common thing that people are already going to be using. All of our tools integrate with it. So being able to do that and just wire up the bot to application insights was the thing that made it possible to turn us around in a day, right? So literally within a day of Ali reaching out, we had a prototype solution, and then it was another day of polish before we could get it kind of pushed out to the HLS team across the country. But it was really that piece of being able to wire up the bot service to application insights. That's what made it possible. And of course, Power BI being what it is and super flexible and being able to natively integrate with App Insights, all the pieces plug together. So that's how we had speed on this.
One other thing I want to kind of reiterate is that, as Todd mentioned, the App Insights can be used for other workloads. So even if you have a website that is not even running on Azure, you can still get the insight, put it in the same bucket along with your chatbot, and then use the insight. So usually when we create or design these projects, we tend to use one App Insight to get all the data, so you can go and crunch it and get the business value type of insight and reports out of it.
That's right. And I mean, where people a lot of times start with App Insights is doing things like, how much memory do I have on my web server? How much CPU am I chewing up? Those kinds of things. And then they move into like, logging and error codes. But this was a case where the healthcare bot team did a really good job of augmenting that with their custom events. And so everything in there is from a business perspective or from a use case perspective. Which messages am I showing to users? How are they interacting with that? Did they indicate they had symptoms? Those are the things we care about, not how much memory was on the web server, right? But all of those are important for operations, but this was important from a business perspective. I keep saying business, you know what I mean, right? It's the business of taking care of people, right?
Exactly. So quick question. Do we have any other question, or I want to follow up?
No, go ahead. And then I have a follow-up question personally I wanted to ask.
Great.
All right. So that's the next topic. How can somebody go and take a look at the guides, and what's next for this project, Todd?
Great. Great question. So the blog post went live, I think yesterday or the day before. My days are bleeding together, as are everyone's. And we immediately started getting questions about, especially as it related to custom fields that different healthcare organizations have added to it. So the blog post is up there, but almost just as important, or more importantly, is this is out on GitHub as well. The steps are out on GitHub, and the Power BI template is out on GitHub. So that's a great place for people to go check it out, download the template. And if you're so inclined, you can file issues, you can interact with the team. And we have a bunch of other people. This was something we had to figure out on the fly as well, is who's going to watch the issue log and who's going to make sure that people are getting their answers, their questions answered. So if you click through the blog post into the GitHub repo, is a great place to get access to that information. Does that help, Ali?
Yeah, and I assume that they can do pull requests and be able to even add more features, right? Perfect.
Yep, that's why we did it on GitHub, so we could do those things like issues and pull requests and interact in real time.
And then lastly, just from my experience, we have a couple pretty sizable bot engagements going on right now. You kept mentioning, Todd and Ali as well, how nimble, how fast, speed. It's so easy to get this thing stood up. And in the healthcare space, just knowing that space a little bit, you don't have a ton of solution architects and data scientists and folks like that can stand these things up. So why choose this type of platform? How easy is it to train people on the Azure Bot Service platform? And what can people start doing to become more knowledgeable in the space on these different topics?
Yeah, great question. I think that's, again, one of the things that were done so well from the HealthBot service. It was a culmination of a lot of things coming together at the right time. That, of course, timing is always everything. But the HealthBot service is truly a software as a service offering. You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to be a developer to get this even deployed and even customized. So it's a lot of the folks that we've worked with have been, not the folks necessarily from the web development team, not necessarily software engineers. These are folks from marketing. These are folks from the public outreach portion of the organization that we're working with. And of course, given we have, website updates involved and those kinds of things for the embedding, at some point, we have to do those things. But to get going with the bot and customize it, you can just hop out there and work with it. And if you want to see how to do that, I would definitely recommend checking out the blog and checking out those video series that I pointed out, as well as the original Quick Start guide that was published, I think updated last week. So really kind of proofs in the pudding to see how easy it is. But that's been my experience, Derek.
And the other thing that we can provide as part of the MTC is to provide you workshops if you're interested. Yep. And this is where we're going to work with developers, with program managers, with the UX designers, and we bring all these forces together. And then at the end of the day, you're going to have this robust chatbot based on your business scenario and use cases that you can go live easily, not only on the web. You can use things like, Facebook Messenger, Skype, Teams,
Right.
You name it.
That's a good point. By default, most people think of bots being embedded in web pages, but that's one of the cool things about the bot framework is to the bot framework, it's just a channel. So again, you mentioned SMS, you mentioned Facebook Messenger. There are lots of channels that you'd want to deploy a bot to, including like, your voice, any voice pucks you might have in your house, right? So it's really, that's just another channel as far as the bot framework is concerned. So that's a really good point, call out.
And again, I think the call to action is, go and look at what we have out there on the blog and also on the GitHub. And if you want to take it to the next level, this is where you can talk to your account rep, or you can reach out on LinkedIn to any of us, and we can schedule a virtual workshop or training session for your team. So you can, take your bot to the next level or build and design your own.
I think one of the most inspiring things that I've seen throughout this whole ordeal is no matter what, and it's not just in Microsoft and it's not just in the technology industry, just across the board, people are getting to work, man. People are jumping in, people are solving problems. Walls are coming down that were up before. I saw a tweet from a doctor talking about how difficult this time is for them, but also how rewarding, because they're knocking down bureaucratic walls to take care of humans, which is just like super inspiring. And people are just getting to work, man. And I just love seeing it.
It's all about empathy and pay forward. And this is, how everybody's coming together. We're working along in our own, corner, but working together to fight this condition and hopefully, get over it.
Yep.
I think this is really exciting, and I know we're a couple minutes over the top of the hour. We had some really great feedback. We'll post the links into the chat, but if folks have questions and comments, we'll continue to answer those questions and comments. And just for me and you, Ali, this program is essentially once every 4 to 6 weeks, and now we're doing this kind of weekly, just because there's so much coming in, so many amazing people at Microsoft, the Todds of the world, and other past guests that are working on technology that is really enhancing our ability to overcome this crisis, this pandemic. So we're just going to continue bringing folks in like Todd and others to start having these discussions. And please reach out if you have something interesting to say that you think can help people and organizations. And we'll do the best to showcase it and empower everyone that's watching.
So a shout out to St. Louis MTC, Todd and Brian, and everybody else. It's always fun to work with you guys, and can't wait to see what we're going to happen next with this project.
Yeah, thanks for calling out Brian. Brian Roberts collaborated with me on this, so he was instrumental in getting this done. So I just wanted to thank him and really everyone that we were. It was a huge. There was other folks as well. So I'm going to forget somebody inevitably, but yeah, thanks so much, Ali and Derek, for asking me to come on. Really, it was fun for me to have a chat with you guys about this.
We'll have you back soon. Don't worry.
All right, sounds great.
All right, everybody. This is it for this broadcast, and we hope to see you guys soon. Keep it safe, and I turn it over to Derek.
All right, everyone. I guess that's it. Thanks a lot. See you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.